How can bitterness destroy your marriage? When we listen to marriage experts, a lot of people talk about communication, a lot of people talk about male-female differences, but there's another huge issue that nobody seems to talk about, and that is, how does sin block your relationship, not only with your spouse, but also with all of the people around you? So we're going to take the next couple of weeks and talk about that. And today we want to start with one that seems to affect a lot of people, bitterness. So first of all, what is sin? Sin is the words, it's the attitudes, it's the actions that God tells us we shouldn't have. And when we insist on holding on to them and not resolving the problem, it gets in the way of our relationships. It blocks us off from other people, and our spouse is the closest one.
So what is bitterness? Bitterness is a seething anger, holding a grudge. You keep holding a grudge against someone who's hurt you in the past. Jesus tells the story of a king who forgives a nobleman millions of dollars of debt. And then the nobleman turns around and doesn't forgive his own slave a few $1,000s of debt. The king, God, is angry at that nobleman because God has forgiven us our sins. We need to be able to turn around and forgive others that sin against us.
So how does this work in your marriage? Let's just say your spouse hurts you. It doesn't feel very good. You don't want it to happen again, so you erect a wall between you. It might take the form of some kind of revenge. It might be an overt action, something you know they're not going to like, and so that's what you're going to do. Or it might be more subtle, kind of passive-aggressive. But whatever it is, you're taking your own revenge, which God says clearly not to do, and you're erecting walls. Sometimes over the years, many walls are erected.
Hebrews 12 says, "See to it that no root of bitterness, that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no root of bitterness springs up that defiles many, and by it many be defiled." A little bitterness can spread among the community, and all of a sudden you've got bitterness among many people, not just one.
So you know what happens with a root. You have a lovely tree planted in the middle of your yard, but the roots get out of control. And before you know it, it's broken up the soil around there. It's ruined your lawn. And then it goes across the lawn and lifts up the slab of cement on your driveway, and it wrecks that. And then it goes down. And now you've got a plumbing problem because the roots are all tangled with the plumbing. And that one little root has caused all kinds of trouble. And that's the same way that it works with bitterness in relationships. To just give you an example, let's say you have a younger sister who grows up with an older brother who is very talkative. And she gets to feeling like, he doesn't even want to listen to me. He won't even let me get a word in here. And she is a little angry at him and she hangs on to it. Well, when she grows up, she gets married, and guess what? She marries a husband who's also talkative, and if he happens to cut her off, he didn't mean to, he didn't want to hurt her, but it feels exactly the same way as it did when her brother would cut her off and she's still mad at him. At that point, she starts transferring the bitterness that she felt toward her brother to her spouse, and up goes the wall.
Ephesians 4 says, "Get rid of all bitterness, anger, rage, brawling, slander, and every form of malice." How do you do that? Some offenses or people that have offended us, doesn't hurt that badly, so it's just easy to make a decision to forgive them. Other times, sometimes we've been hurt very badly, and it's not so easy to forgive. And we need to take the time to work through the forgiveness process. In our book, The Marriage Dance, or in the workbook that goes along with the marriage dance, we give you some hints on how to work through the problem of forgiveness and bitterness if this is a major problem for you.
There's an entire section on it in the book that will help you work through these issues. So we're going to go ahead and put a link right down below. It'll take you to Amazon if you would like to order the book. And you get rid of the bitterness in your marriage and see if that doesn't make your marriage dance.